Democrats want Donald Trump to be the nominee in 2024. Okay? I understand there's some of you out there that are saying they're doing this because they don't want him to be. No. Democrats, if they could hand select the Republican nominee right now, they would pick Donald Trump. And I think what they know is when they indict him, it strengthens him with the Republican base. Because you and me and a lot of our listeners out there, Buck, are going to be outraged by the very idea that the sitting president, Joe Biden, is indicting his political rival effectively, and they're doing it under the cloak and dagger of the special counsel.
On Friday, so while you're traveling, the news breaks of these two so there's one special counsel who is overseeing it, but it's really two separate criminal probes, one into January 6th and the other into the documents at Mar-a-Lago. So now we really have, I just want everyone to keep track of this because it is hard. You really need to start thinking spreadsheet for Trump derangement syndrome lawfare, which is what they're doing here, the usage of the law in political warfare. And you had the Russia collusion, which was obviously, and really Russia collusion was based into the Mueller probe had subheadings, right? It was the Russia collusion component and then the obstruction component, which they were also trying to prove, totally separate from the actual, did Russia collude, which obviously that was crazy, it didn't happen. Now you have these two. You also have Alvin Bragg in New York, the district attorney there, the woke, progressive, lunatic district attorney who still has his job because Kathy Hochul is still the governor of New York, unfortunately. Lee Zeldin almost pulled it off, but didn't. Clay, you have that investigation about Stormy Daniels. You had Letitia James, the attorney general of the state of New York, bringing a civil investigation around inflation of assets. What else? There's some others, I think, that I haven't even. I can't think of all the Trump. The Trump sexual assault accuser.
There's a Georgia investigation going on from the Georgia, DA, Atlanta area. I can't even keep up over what exactly was said and happened there. There are, there's 5 or 6 different investigations going on simultaneously.
And the woman who wrote the book and said that Trump sexually assaulted her decades, 30 years ago in the department store. She's coming back now. She's trying to do a personal suit against Trump over that. Basically, the goal of the Democrats seems to be to just sue and investigate Trump into submission. And I have to say, this is one thing that will not work because even people started to I had a lot of people come with me at Mar-a-Lago. I'll tell you, they're like, I'm starting to feel like I have a little bit of a concern here about how this campaign would play out or whatever. But then they announced the special counsels and I'm just back in the bunker with Trump, man. Can't allow this to go as a tool for the left without pushback. I think there's a big sense. There's a big sense among a lot of people that it's almost they make it bigger than Trump by being such lunatics with how they're trying to destroy Trump. They want him to run, but they also have to prosecute him. They can't let him run fairly.
They want him. He's their great Satan. The only thing holding the Democrat Party together is Trump. There was a stat I was reading over the weekend. It was in the New York Times or Wall Street Journal. I don't remember which one. That 38% of voters said they went to go cast a vote against Joe Biden because they thought, hey, he's doing such a bad job. Buck, 36% of people went to go cast a vote against Donald Trump. He's not in office, right? So Democrats have managed to connect Trump to midterms that are occurring when he's out of office and motivate their base to go vote based on that. So they both simultaneously need him and want him to run. And I think that's some of the essence of what's going on with these charges. Now, we come back in this next segment. I'll tell you what I thought about the special counsel announcement because it's actually something, if you listen to the show, I don't know if somebody can go in the archives. I said there should have been a special counsel appointed the minute that they began this investigation. And I didn't hear hardly anybody arguing for that. But the minute that the Mar-a-Lago investigation began, I said, this can't be run by Merrick Garland. But what does it mean that he's decided now to do it?
If you brought, so you're talking about the special counsels against Trump, because the reality is, if you were trying to create in like a lab, the perfect case study of when you would need a special counsel to be appointed, it would be the son of a sitting president who's getting millions of dollars from foreign adversaries of the United States, who's under federal investigation for a variety of crimes. That is, if you were creating the basis for the special counsel to even exist, it would be Hunter Biden. And notice, there's no Hunter Biden special counsel, which is, by the way, if there was, I would start to think maybe they do have some plans for Hunter. The reason they don't is because ultimately Merrick Garland gets to steer this thing and make sure that the sitting president of the Democrat Party's son is in no real criminal jeopardy. This is how they play the game. Meanwhile, we have people on our side on the right being like, where are our principles? We get like Liz Cheney lecturing us about all this stuff while they're trying to just use every tool at their disposal.
It is, to your point, impossible to justify a special counsel for Trump and not also have a special counsel for Hunter Biden. It's impossible to justify.
If the Department of Justice can show that these were indeed very sensitive documents, which I think they probably were, and also show that the president consciously was involved in misleading the department, deceiving the government, and playing games after he had received the subpoena for the documents, those are serious charges.
That's a serious
That's serious.
That's a serious
well,
enough crime.
I said that I personally think that they probably have the basis for legitimately indicting the president. I don't know. I'm speculating.
You're speculating, yeah.
But given what's gone on, I think they probably have the evidence that would check the box. They have the case.
And if they have it, should they?
That's a decision for...
if you were AG, would you?
I'm not going to get into that.
Do you think they will?
I think it's becoming increasingly more likely.
Increasingly more likely that they will indict the only Republican officially running for the 2024 nomination. Remember, we did tell you this. We called this one right, that the presidential election basically starts the day after the midterm here because of all the dynamics. There's no interregnum. There's no time, no honeymoon period or whatever you want to call it. It goes right into it. And the announcement of really dual special counsel investigations into former President Trump shows exactly where this is heading. For one thing, Clay, it means that we're going to have an ongoing. What I said about the machinery of the Democrats, I think that's absolutely true. CNN, they're going to start ramping it up more and more. You're going to have just the drip updates of anti-Trump daily propaganda from these investigations, right? And even if it's not leaks from the investigations, it'll just be speculation from, there's speculation here, speculation there, about where this is all going. If they indict Trump, I mean, it's 2 years, so there's probably, they could delay, but if you're Trump, how do you play that, right? What do you do? I mean, obviously, you rally people to your banner, but I think you want the trial to proceed before you probably want it to go more quickly. You don't want it to hang over your head. I don't know. This is uncharted territory, man. This is wild stuff we're looking at, and it looks likely.
It's wild, but this is one where I would say, Buck, I think Trump getting indicted helps him. And I think Democrats know that Trump getting indicted helps him with Republicans, but hurts him with independents. So this is one where I actually think they are being smart and strategic. And I know sometimes we give too much credit to Democrats and sometimes they're just incompetent. The way I see this playing out is, in their mind, the thing you need to understand is Democrats want Donald Trump to be the nominee in 2024. Okay? I understand there's some of you out there that are saying they're doing this because they don't want him to be. No. Democrats, if they could hand select the Republican nominee right now, they would pick Donald Trump. And I think what they know is when they indict him, it strengthens him with the Republican base. Because you and me and a lot of our listeners out there, Buck, are going to be outraged by the very idea that the sitting president, Joe Biden, is indicting his political rival effectively and they're doing it under the cloak and dagger of the special counsel.
So I don't think that they would be willing. Actually, I can't say what they're willing to do and not willing to do because I'm not of the left, and I think that there is a very high correlation between delusion, mental illness, and being a far left-wing Democrat. I really do believe that. I'm not just saying that. So I can't tell you exactly what they're willing to do. I don't think they believe that this ends with Donald Trump actually spending time in a minimum security federal prison somewhere. I don't think they believe that.
Some of their left-wing, truly crazy people.
But I mean the ones calling the shots.
The rational
yes.
actors.
I mean the ones that are in power and that,
Yes.
the ones that are involved in this White House, et cetera. Yeah, of course, there's crazy people all over the place commenting online about this. But I think it's much more likely that they would, if they bring this indictment, which seems like a better than, I've been told by two former attorney generals personally, but without attribution in effect, that they think that they are going to indict Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So let's call it better than 50-50. If they indict him, the trial is happening. Now, the trial is not going to be some huge sensational thing. By the way, the problem with bringing the documents part of the trial, let's say it's the Mar-a-Lago thing. The January 6th thing, I think they probably can't make that stick, but maybe they think they can. If it is the Mar-a-Lago documents, I know a bit about this because I had a top secret clearance and I know how these things work. You're never going to they're never going to stand up in court and be like, see the nuclear codes written on toilet paper next to the photo of Kim Jong-un. Like, that's never going to happen because you're exposing that. It becomes part of the court record. And they say, oh, well, we'll just have it secretively. Oh, you're going to prosecute based on secret evidence the former president of the United States? That's not going to fly. I think you might get into a phase where even if you get an indictment, say on obstruction, which wouldn't require the documents to necessarily be public, that wouldn't be essential. Let's say they get Trump on criminal obstruction of justice, which they've wanted, Clay, as you know, since the Mueller probe. Joe Biden's in a position. He will not pardon Trump, of course, but he may commute it, right? And so then you have the indicted and convicted and commuted former president running against Joe Biden. Does anyone think this is too crazy? Because I'm not saying it's going to happen. I think it could happen.
Here's the big thing I think that takes away. If you strengthen Trump with your base and get him the Republican nomination, it would simultaneously crush him to have been indicted with independent voters, and it would hand Democrats the White House. So I think their play, I think there's a little bit of four-dimensional chess going on here, is indict Trump, which strengthens him with the base, makes him the nominee, but weakens his chances to actually win in 2024 because independent voters, as we saw, are not breaking for Trump. They bought into this great Satan argument.
But Clay, you're leaving out here the big X factor, which is if Hogan, the governor of Maryland, decides to run, oh man,
everything changes overnight.
The base is gonna flock to that guy. They'd be like, oh, we don't need Trump, we got Hogan. Yeah, Larry Hogan. It's gonna be a great thing to have. Is he the governor? Did I even get that? Yeah, he is the governor of Maryland.
He used to be the governor of Maryland.
Yeah, former governor of Maryland.
Yeah.